Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're looking at something you probably use every day without a second thought.
A map.
Exactly.
Mhm.
But specifically, one single map projection from the 16th century that basically shaped how we see the entire planet. We're talking about the Mercator Projection.
And this is such a fascinating story. Our mission today is to unpack its technical genius, the problem it solved, but also the huge political impact it had.
Okay, let's unpack this. So Gerardus Mercator, he creates this projection in 1569. What was so hard about navigation before him? I mean, were ships just getting lost all the time?
It was incredibly dangerous and inefficient. See, old charts just couldn't really handle around Earth on a flat piece of paper.
Right.
So for any long voyage, a captain would have to do these really complex spherical geometry calculations just to stay on course. The age of discovery needed a better tool fast.
And Mercator's solution was all about the math.
Oh, completely. He developed what we call an equal angle cylindrical projection, a conformal map.
Conformal.
It means it preserves angles perfectly. And to do that, he used math that was way ahead of his time, something involving the natural logarithm to stretch the latitude lines as they went north and south. A wild idea for 1569.
So preserving the angles was the key. What did that actually do for a sailor on a ship?
It made everything simple. It allowed a rhumb line, which is basically just a path where you keep your compass pointed at the same number.
A constant bearing.
Exactly. That path could now be drawn as one perfectly straight line across the entire map.
That's incredible. So you just draw a line from Lisbon to the Caribbean and you just follow it.
You lock your compass and you go. That single innovation is what made his map the absolute gold standard for global trade by the 18th century.
So we've got this incredible navigational tool that is also, I guess, a kind of geographic lie. What's the trade-off?
The trade-off is area. That's the fatal flaw. To keep the angles true, he had to let the sizes of land masses get wildly distorted.
And it gets worse the further you get from the equator.
Exponentially worse.
Which brings us to the classic example, Greenland and Africa.
Right. On a Mercator map, they look sort of comparable in size.
But in reality,
Africa is 14 times larger.
13. That's not a small error. That is a massive visual distortion.
And it wasn't a neutral one. That visual error had real political implications. It inadvertently created a visual bias.
But making northern areas, Europe, North America, look so huge and important on the map.
While shrinking the land masses around the equator, it visually reinforced a very Eurocentric worldview.
And people started to realize this was a problem. It actually spurred a whole new wave of map making, didn't it?
It did. In the 18th century, a mathematician, Johann Heinrich Lambert, proved that you can't have both. You can't have perfect angles and perfect area. It's one or the other.
So other map makers chose area.
Yes, you started seeing new projections like the Sanson and later the Gall-Peters projection, which became famous in the 1970s specifically to challenge that Mercator bias.
So maps went from being just tools for navigation to instruments of power.
That's the critical shift. When they became so powerful, they became political.
Can you give us a clear example of that, where a map wasn't just describing territory, but defining it?
We can go way back. The Treaty of Tordesillas in 1494 just drew a line on a map to split the world between Spain and Portugal.
Right.
But the ultimate example has to be the Berlin Conference in 1884.
Ah, the scramble for Africa.
Exactly. You had European powers literally sitting around a table with a map of Africa.
And just drawing lines.
Just drawing straight lines.
Huh.
They weren't based on geography or culture or anything on the ground. They were carving up a continent for its resources using the administrative convenience of a map.
The map became the territory.
It legitimized their claims, and then colonial powers used precise mapping for taxation, for planning railroads to extract resources for total control.
So if we pull this all together, the Mercator projection was a brilliant solution to a huge technical problem. It enabled globalization.
It absolutely did. But the very map that connected the world also visually distorted it, deciding who looked big and important in the process.
The key takeaway here seems to be that maps aren't just science. They aren't neutral. They are choices.
They're arguments. They carry immense historical weight. And what's really wild is that Mercator's flawed projection is still what you use every day. It's the standard for web mapping, EPSG.3857.
So when you open up Google Maps or any map on your phone, you are looking at the world through the lens of a 16th century sailor and a 19th century colonial administrator.
That's the legacy.
And the challenge for all of us then is to learn how to see past that, to promote a kind of critical map literacy so we can see the world not just as it's drawn, but as it really is.